just out of curiosity, how many people here have never seen me before? Raise your hand, you've never seen me before. Gee, how do you know it's me? Something to think about. Is this too loud? The mic is a little bit too loud, right? So I'm going to adjust this so that I don't blow your eardrums out. So excuse me just a moment. As soon as I get on stage, I notice it's really, is that a little bit better? Yes. All right. If it gets too loud again, you tell me, I'll adjust it again. I figure I'm going to start out by communicating some very simple instructions. And if you follow my instructions, I will create the illusion of my head actually growing. Now, the illusion will only last a few seconds, and there's no long-term side effects to the illusion. But if you want to see something really cool, all you got to do is look at the center of the spiral. You may not be able to see this too well. As you look at the center of the spiral, you're going to want to look away, but don't look away. In a moment, I'm going to count from 10 down to 0. When I count to 0, I'll tell you exactly where to look. But for now, look at the center of the spiral. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Look at my head. How many people saw my head grow? There you go. All right. For those of you who didn't see my head grow, that's probably because of a breakdown in communication, or you're just at the wrong angle or something, I don't know. So, my program is called The Magic of Communication. More specifically, communicating from the platform. Whether that platform is in front of 4 people, 40 people, 400 people, or 4,000 people. How do you grab people's attention? How do you keep their attention? And then how do you deliver your message in a way that inspires people to take action on your ideas? Now, you may be saying to yourself, I'm not a professional speaker. Why should I care? Well, every single person in this room at one point or another has to give a presentation in front of a group of people. Whether it's in front of your employees, your board members, your colleagues, or in front of an association group like this. And the more compelling your presentation, the easier it is to inspire people to take action on your ideas. So this presentation applies to every single person in this room. Now there's 4 key ideas that I'm going to share with you today. Not 20, not 10, just 4. I've already demonstrated 3 of those ideas in the first 3 minutes of this presentation. But the ideas I want to share with you have nothing to do with what I was saying. Anybody want to take a guess what those ideas might be? Anybody know? Yes? Eye contact. That's a great one. I'm going to get to that in just a moment. You see, yes? Go ahead. A visual, yes. Usually when a speaker is introduced, they come to the front of the room and they start speaking. But if you want to be noticed, you want to stand out, you want to be remembered, you have to do something different. If you do what everyone else does, why should anybody remember you? Usually when I start my presentations, or many times, I start with a fire-eating routine, which then leads into a lesson. When I can't, I'll start my fire-eating routine in the middle of the audience and immediately grab people's attention. Something different. Other times, I might be sitting in my chair when I get introduced, and I'll stand on my chair to begin my presentation. Now, some people might look at me like I'm strange, but I guarantee you they won't easily forget me. I know some people that are amazing singers. They start the presentation with a song that captivates the entire audience before going into meat of the content. Now, I'm not saying that you should start with a song or with fire eating, with a magic trick. You can do something that resonates with you. You can do something as simple as looking at what everybody else does and then maybe doing the opposite. Maybe noticing that most people start at the front of the room and then maybe decide to start at the back of the room. That grabs people's attention. It's something different. I've done that before. How many people here subscribe to Success Magazine? Anybody here subscribe to Success Magazine? Not one. This is perfect. Success Magazine, you don't have to. Yeah, you're really successful. But Success Magazine is a great magazine for anybody that's trying to achieve any level of success in any facet of their life. And there's a economist named Jason Dorsey. He's known as the Gen Y guy. He's a really young guy, and he teaches people how to connect with the younger generation of consumers. And he told this story. It's a very interesting story. I'm going to paraphrase it. I'd like you to imagine that you are the last speaker on the third day of a 3-day conference. Okay, so imagine that you are that person. Last speaker on the third day of a 3-day conference. In front of you, there's 1,000 people. You have a camera crew that's trained on you. You have these big screens that are projecting your image. The camera crew is following you every move. The people in front of you, they've already seen a dozen speakers or more. They're tired. They want to go home. What would you do to grab their attention?
Say go home.
I'll tell you what he did. They introduced him. He jumped off the stage. He ran into the audience. He grabbed a chair. He stood on this chair and he gave his presentation in the middle of the audience. The camera crew had to chase him down to keep up with them. The people that were in the front row are no longer in the front row. Now they're in the last row. They got to turn around to see his presentation. In 3 days, he was the only speaker to get a standing ovation. And the reason was he energized the room by doing something different. And doing something different doesn't mean that it has to be elaborate or complicated. It just has to be something different. That's why I started out with that growing head illusion. Just to get your attention. The second idea I want to share is that as soon as I was introduced, my presentation started. My entire goal was to exude confidence. Because nobody wants to listen to a speaker or watch a presenter that's lacking confidence. Nobody wants to watch somebody that's unsure of the words or unsure of their actions. The fastest way to lose your audience. Now, I'm not saying that I've never been unsure of myself, because before giving this presentation today, I was really anxious. Because this is only the third time that I've given this particular presentation. So I was sitting in my chair, and everybody was talking, and I got really nervous. My heart started beating faster, my hands got sweaty, and I even turned to my girlfriend and business partner who was somewhere around here, and I looked at my hands, they're shaking. I was really nervous. But it didn't matter, because I prepared for the last month to give you this presentation. So as soon as I was introduced, I just let my preparation take over. Right now, I'm just letting my preparation carry me through. So at this moment in time, this very second, am I exuding confidence? Or am I faking it? It doesn't really matter, because the result is the same. If you want to have an impact on your audience, exude confidence. If you're lacking confidence, fake it. And the way you fake it is you prepare. And that's the key, preparation. You know, it's a very rare person that can get up in front of a group of people and give a compelling presentation by just winging it. I know I can't do that. The late great Steve Jobs, when Apple would release a new product, Jobs and his team would prepare 6 to 8 weeks on their keynote presentation. Nothing was left to chance. When they gave that presentation, it was perfection. Why? Because they prepared. And preparation doesn't mean that you put together 50 PowerPoint slides and you talk about your slides. That's not preparation. Preparation is knowing who your audience is. Thinking about what they want to hear, what they need to hear, what's important to them. And then thinking about how you're going to deliver your message in a way that inspires them to take action on your ideas, because anything less is a complete waste of time. It's a waste of time for the presenter, and more importantly, it's a waste of time for the audience. So if you value your audience, if you have respect for your audience, put in that preparation, and then preparation will in turn give you the confidence to go out and give the best presentation you possibly can. The third thing I want to share is that as I'm speaking with you, I've been trying to make eye contact with just about as many people as I possibly can. It's basically an attempt on my part to try to connect with all of you. Much so often I see speakers that will stare at their feet, or they stare at the ceiling, they'll stare at their PowerPoint slides, or they'll look into the audience, but instead of looking at the audience, they look above the heads of the audience, because they're afraid of that eye contact, they're afraid of that human connection. But communication is all about human connection. As a magician, I know magicians that will stare at their hands and they stare at their props as if that's where the magic happens. But But as I tell my colleagues, magic does not happen in your hands. It doesn't happen with your props. It doesn't happen on stage. The only magic that happens is the magic that occurs in the minds of the audience. And when you connect with the people in your audience, you facilitate that magic to happen. It could be something as simple as just looking at them, being present, sharing that moment. And the same is true for a speaker. When you connect with the people in your audience, a certain magic happens where you facilitate that exchange of ideas where people are able to grasp what you're talking about and then take action on those ideas. Now there's two parts to communication. The first part is obviously the person giving the message. The second part is the person receiving the message. If the person receiving the message doesn't understand the message, there is no communication. There's also two types of communication. The first type is the verbal communication, like I'm doing right now. There's also the non-verbal communication, the body language that I give off. If I was up here with my head down and my shoulders slumped over, you might get the impression that I'm either bored, or feeling disengaged, or feeling defeated. And my body would tell my mind that I'm being bored, disengaged, and defeated. But if I stand up straight with my shoulders back, my head up high, my body now tells my mind that I'm feeling strong and confident, and you'll also pick up on that. So we're going to try a little experiment in verbal and nonverbal communication, which in turn really is about human connection. So how many people here believe in ESP, clairvoyance, mind reading, that type of thing? Right? Because you believe in 2, 3, like 3, 5, 8. Okay, this is not that. But we're going to try a little experiment here. Let's see. What's your name right here? Judy. Judy, I would like to try a little experiment with you, okay? In a moment, I'm going to have you write 3 things down. But you're not going to write anything until I ask you, okay? When you're done, you're going to pull this up into a packet just like this. And I'm going to write my name on one side of this packet. So that it'll say Lou. And Judy, I'd like to write your name on the other side of the packet, please. Thank you. And hold on to the pen. Yeah, there you go. So it says Lou on one side, Judy on the other side. In a moment, you're going to write down 3 separate things. When you're done, you're going to pull this up into a packet so that her names are on the outside. Okay, Judy? Again, don't write anything until I ask you. Judy, the very first thing I'd like you to do is I'd like you to think of a vegetable. And the very first vegetable that comes to your mind, I'd like you to write that down on line number 1, please.
It's a fruit, it's not a vegetable.
Thank you. All right, Judy. The second thing I'd like to do is I want you to imagine that you're at your home. You're inside your home. You're looking at your front door. You open up your front door. You look outside. What is the very first thing that you see? Write that down on line number 2. The third thing I'd like to do is I want you to think of a number between 24 and 89. Any number between 24 and 89. Write that down on line number 3. When you're done, I'd like you to fold it up into little packets so their names are on the outside. Now take the pen from me. Thank you, Judy. I'll take that first. And Judy, this is all folded up. I'd like you to cup your hands together like this because we're going to turn this up into little pieces. And hold it in one hand if you don't mind. And you can just relax. Just hold on to that. The very first 2 things I have you think about are really just there to help me visualize how you think. Because the first thing I had to do is I had you think of a vegetable. And I'm going to say that the vegetable that you are thinking of is a carrot. Judy, for the first time, what vegetable were you thinking of? What is it? Corn. Close. Yeah, they both start with the C. Judy. I mean, it doesn't get much closer than that. But the thing, I really should have known that because I've done this little experiment for about 2 years now, 70% of the people that participate in this demonstration think of porn. It's true. Here's another interesting fact. 92.8% of all statistics are completely made up. Glad some of you got that. Thank you. Judy, then I had to think, imagine that you're at your home, and you're looking at your front door. You open up the door, you saw something outside. And I'm going to say that you saw like a chair or a bench of some sort. Is that true? A bench. These skills are trying to form a bond. We're trying to form a little connection here. So it's good. And then I have to think of a number between 24 and 89. I'd like you to focus on that number, please. Should you forget your number? You got it. I think I got it. That's what I got. Judy, what number were you thinking of? What number was it? 67. The number that you were really thinking of. See, this doesn't make any sense. And unless there was a connection, it wouldn't make sense. But there is a connection. And all of this is connected. So it would go down. This is 5 and that's a 4, by the way. It's just like, hopefully that's readable. Yeah, 47 plus 11, which is 58 plus 5. 58, 61 plus 4. I'm sorry, 47, 58, 5, 63 plus 4, that's 67. But 1 plus 8 is 9, plus 10 is 19, is 48, that's 67. 12 plus 46 is 58 plus 3 is 61 plus 6, 67. 7 plus 2 is 9, plus 9 is 18, 49, 67, the number that you're really thinking of. But there's more. We go across. Yeah, 47 plus 1 is 48 plus 12. 60 plus 7 is 67. 11 plus 8 is 19 plus 2 is 21 plus 46, that's 67. 5 plus 10 is 15 plus 3 is 18 is 49. 67. 4 plus 8 is 52 plus 6 is 58 plus 9 is 67, the number that you're really thinking of. But there's more. We do diagonal. Yeah, 47 plus 8 is 55 plus 3 is 58 plus 9 is 67. 7 plus 46 is 53 plus 10, 60 plus 4, that's 67, the number that you're really thinking of. But there's more. We do the 4 corners. We have 47 plus 7, 54 plus 9, 66 plus 4, that's 67. We have 3 plus 10, 18 plus 3 is 46, 67, the number that you're really thinking of. And if that's not enough, which apparently it isn't, I've got more. We do the 4 square, these 4 corners. These 4, 47 plus 1 is 48, plus 8, 56, 11, 67, 12 plus 7 is 19, plus 2 is 20, plus 46, that's 67, 3 plus 6 is 9, plus 9 is 18, plus 49, 67, 10 plus 5 is 15, plus 4 is 19, is 48, 67, the number that Judy was really thinking of. I'll leave that out so you can check my math if you like. By the way, Judy, those little pieces there, souvenir from me to you. You come to a club meeting and go away with gifts. How many people think that they'll remember this little demonstration when they leave here today? Raise your hand if you think they'll remember this demonstration. How many people think that you'll actually recount this little demonstration to a family member, a friend, or a colleague? Raise your hand. Yeah. This was called a star moment. That term was coined by Nancy Doherty, who wrote a book titled Resonate. And STAR is an acronym that stands for something they'll always remember. Something they'll always remember. Every presentation should have a STAR moment, because when they remember the moment, they'll remember the message. It's going to be very difficult to remember this demonstration without remembering the magic of communication. Every presentation should have a star moment. What is your star moment? A star moment could be something as simple as a startling statistic that maybe people have not thought about, that wakes people up to the reality of what is. Or maybe it's a catchphrase that people repeat to themselves over and over again so that long after you're gone, they can't get this catchphrase out of their head. About 8 years ago, I saw a speaker named Joel Weldon. And during his presentation, he held up a can. And he said, "Success comes in cans, not in cannots." And on the label it says, "Success comes in cans, not in cannots." That's a star moment because that's something I'll always remember. Every presentation should have a star moment. What is your star moment? If you don't have one, then get busy creating one, because when they remember the moment, they'll remember the message. And when they remember the message, there's a pretty good chance that they'll also remember you. So keep these 4 things in mind. Do something different. Exude confidence. Connect with the people in your audience and have a star moment. You'll be on your way to making your next presentation even more compelling than your last. If I could sum up this entire presentation in one sentence, this is what it would be. Never give a presentation you wouldn't want to sit through yourself. Never give a presentation you wouldn't want to sit through yourself. If you wouldn't want to sit through it, why would your audience want to sit through it? So, put in the preparation, to do the best job you possibly can. I want to thank you very much for allowing me to share my message with all of you. Hopefully you got some little nugget of information that will help you in your next presentation. Also, if you know of any corporation or association that can benefit from my message, please feel free to either ask me for a business card or give me your card. I'd love to follow up with you. And I also want to thank you for everything that you do in Rotary to help the world that we live in. So thank you very much. Anybody have questions? Yes, sir.
Can that be done with another number?
Can be done with any number. Any number. Although I tend to keep it between 24 and 89 because after that I could barely add this up. So, yes.
If you were to reverse the direction of your disc, would your head shrink?
Oh, yes, it would. It would. Would you like to try it out? I can. Would. I'll make it. You know, I'll make my head. There we go. So, I'm going to do the same thing. The people that are really close may not be able to see this because it works better when you are further away, but hopefully you can see this. So again, all you have to do is look at the center of the spiral. As you look at the center of the spiral, you're going to want to look away, but don't look away. I'm going to count from 10 down to 0, and I'll tell you where to look. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Look at my head. Who saw my head straight? There we go. All right. It works.
We do have time for another question. Are there others? So, Russ wins the prize.
I just wanted to say that I thought the same question that had enough discretion not to ask you.
That's great.
Lou, thank you very, very much. If you would please, as a presentation to our speakers, we have you sign a book that we give to the children in our Title I schools. So if you please
Sure.
do your autograph to our book, and thank you again. Thank you.